Cordials WSST, because local matters.
The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors have been proudly serving the people of this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At J.W. Williams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcements for the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Ms. Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of Miss Jacqueline Brown of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Emmy Lee McAdoo Kellum of East Dublin, Georgia and Rochelle, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Mr. Jonathan D. Lawrence of Cordele, Georgia. The family of little Eric Messiah Cleveland of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Joseph Reese of Cordele, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Mr. Charlie C. Lester of Maryland and by Byronville, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Miss Jacqueline Brown, age 66, of 705 Fitzpatrick Place, Vienna, Georgia, died Saturday, February 6th at the Houston Medical Center in Warner Robins, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Jacqueline Brown, age 66, was held Sunday, February 14th, graveside at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Bishop Timothy Boone officiated. Survivors include her loving and devoted mother, Miss Maddie B. Brown of Vienna, Georgia. Her beloved aunts, Mrs. Annie Oliver of Bonaire, Georgia, and Mrs. Jenny Mae Smith of Doolin, Georgia. A host of nieces and nephews to include Miss Dominique Jenkins and her husband, Mr. Mario Jenkins of McDonald, Georgia, Mr. Darian Webb and his wife, Miss Darlene Webb of Henderson, Nevada, and Mr. Demond Webb and his wife, Mrs. Aretha Webb of Warner Robins, Georgia. A host of other relatives and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Miss Jacqueline Brown, age 66, of 705 Fitzpatrick Place, Vienna, Georgia. Mrs. Emmy Lee McAdoo Kellum, age 73, of 1206 South Lake Drive, East Dublin, Georgia, died Monday, February 8th at Landmark Hospital in Savannah, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Emmy Lee McAdoo Kellum, age 73, was held Sunday, February 14th at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Connie Graham officiated. Minister Lanice Graham delivered the eulogy. The burial followed at the Antioch Baptist Church Cemetery in Pineview, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted son and daughter-in-law, Mr. Alfred and Mrs. B.J. McAdoo of Dublin, Georgia. Her beloved grandchildren, Miss Shelley Kicklighter and Mr. Bryant Jowers and his wife, Mrs. Cassidy Jowers. Two great-grandchildren, her beloved goddaughters, Miss Verlin Holmes and Mrs. Susan Mae Ingram of Fort Pierce, Florida. Five loving and devoted sisters, Mrs. Minnie Newby of Tampa, Florida, Mrs. Ida Statham of Thompson, Georgia, Miss Bertha McAdoo, Mrs. Mary L. Brown, and Mrs. Luella McAdoo, all of Rochelle, Georgia, and Mrs. Ida Creer and her husband, Mr. Ernest Creer of Atlanta, Georgia. A beloved brother, Mr. Edward McAdoo of Tampa, Florida. Her devoted cousins, Miss Gloria Daniels and Mr. Raymond Johnson, both of Rochelle, Georgia. Her loving and devoted friends, Mrs. Barbara Jean Roberts of Rochelle, Georgia, Miss Lessa Ford, Miss Ethel Jones, Miss Maddie Staley, and Mr. Sam Manning of Dublin, Georgia, Miss Francine Ingram of Fort Pierce, Florida, and Miss Siobhan West of Pineview, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Emmy Lee McAdoo Kellum, age 73, of 1206 South Lake Drive, East Dublin, Georgia. Mr. Jonathan Daniel Lawrence, age 37, of 506 South 15th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, January 29, of injuries sustained in an automobile accident. The funeral service for Mr. Jonathan Daniel Lawrence, age 37, was held Monday, February 15, graveside at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. His beloved uncle, the Reverend Dennis Perry, officiated. His uncle, Reverend Don Perry, delivered the eulogy. Survivors include his loving and devoted mother, Mrs. Cynthia Dent of Cordele, Georgia. Beloved father, Mr. Bobby Alexander of Cordele, Georgia. His loving wife, Mrs. Jorah Lawrence of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved children, Mr. Devontae Freeman of Albany, Georgia, Mr. Jonathan Lawrence, Miss Janelle Lawrence, Miss Alicia Lawrence, all of Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Nathan Odom of Cordele, Georgia, his stepdaughters, Miss Demaya Applin of Cordele, Georgia, his beloved sisters, Miss Sterling Dent of Cordele, Georgia, Miss Alicia Alexander, and Miss McKinley Alexander, both of Atlanta, Georgia. His beloved brothers, Mr. Carlo Lawrence, Mr. Devance Lawrence, and Mr. Demetrius Ashley, all of Cordele, Georgia. Mr. McKeevy Alexander of Atlanta, Georgia. His beloved aunts and uncles, Miss Stephanie Perry Clark and her husband, Mr. Alan Clark, Mr. Reginald Lawrence and his wife, Mrs. Veronica Lawrence, all of Cordele, Georgia. Mrs. Nellie Lockett and her husband, Mr. Bobby Lockett of Lithonia, Georgia. Mrs. Beverly Holland and her husband, Mr. Mickey Holland of McDonald, Georgia. Mrs. Evelyn Denard Solomon, and Mr. Freddie Alexander and his wife, Mrs. Nita Alexander, both of Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Leroy Alexander, the Reverend Willie Alexander and his wife, Mrs. Mary Alexander, and Mrs. Marion Denard, and her husband, Mr. Walter Denard, of Phoenix, Arizona. A host of nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Jonathan Danielle Lawrence, age 37, of 506 South 15th Street, Cordele, Georgia. The infant Eric Messiah Cleveland, of 505 East 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, February 6th at Navison Health in Macon, Georgia. The graveside funeral service for infant Eric Messiah Cleveland was held Monday, February 15th at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Brother Edward Sutton of the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses officiated. Survivors include his loving mother, Miss Jacqueline Cleveland of Cordele, Georgia. His loving sisters, Mrs. Amia Cleveland, Miss Alaya Cleveland, and Miss Addison Cleveland, all of Cordele, Georgia. His grandmother, Miss Patricia Cleveland of Cordele, Georgia. A great-grandmother, Miss Diane Ford of Cordele, Georgia. His aunt, Miss Kimberly Gaston, and her husband, Keon Gaston of Albany, Georgia. An uncle, Mr. John E. Cleveland, Jr. of Cordele, Georgia. His great-aunts and great-uncle, Miss Sheila Smith of Cordele, Georgia. Miss Pamela Gunn and her husband, Mr. Anthony Gunn of Opelika, Alabama, and Mr. Eric Ford Sr. and his wife, Mrs. Pam Ford of Vienna, Georgia. A host of other relatives survived the infant Eric Messiah Cleveland of 505 East 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Joseph Reese, age 70, of 715 West 22nd Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Sunday, February 14th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Joseph Reese, age 70, was held Friday, February 19th at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico. Reverend Isaac H. Owen, pastor of Mount Calvary Baptist Church, officiated. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Mr. Ranji Reese and his wife, Mrs. Zakuta Reese of Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Joseph L. Reese and his wife, Mrs. Clara Reese of Warner Robins, Georgia. Mrs. Tarana Jones and her husband, Mr. Aaron Jones of Tallahassee, Florida. Mrs. Tawana T. Montfrey and her husband, Fred Montfrey. Mr. Corey Reese and his wife, Mrs. Shakiva Reese. And Mrs. Vanessa Patrick and her husband, Mr. Casey Patrick, all of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved grandchildren, Mr. Aaron Jones, Jr. of Atlanta, Georgia. Miss Sabrina Montfrey, Mr. Doris Montfrey, and Mrs. Kayla Reese, all of Cordele, Georgia. Mrs. Ananias Jones and Miss Aria Jones, both of Tallahassee, Florida. Ms. Jasmine Hardiman of Cordele, Georgia. And Mr. Javaski Walker of Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Andavius Walker of Cordele, Georgia. And Mr. Ranji Reese Jr., Macon, Georgia. Mr. Jalal Z. Hall and Mrs. Jayla S. Hall, both of Vienna, Georgia. 14 beloved great-grandchildren, his son-in-law, Mr. Sam Hall of Vienna, Georgia, his beloved and caring brothers, Deacon Harold Reese and his wife, Mrs. Helen Reese, and Mr. Elijah Reese, both of Cordele, Georgia. His sisters-in-law, Mrs. Dorothy Ruth Mason and her husband, Deacon Willie Mason, and Mrs. Della Westbrook, both of Cordele, Georgia. His brothers-in-law, Mr. James Westbrook and his wife, Mrs. Phyllis Westbrook of Chattanooga, Tennessee, Deacon Odell Westbrook and his wife, Mrs. Dorothy Westbrook, Deacon Roger Westbrook and his wife, Mrs. Brenda Westbrook, Mr. Jerry Westbrook and his wife, Mrs. Lena Westbrook, and Deacon Elvis Westbrook and his wife, Pastor Cleo Westbrook, all of Cordele, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Joseph Reese, age 70, of 715 West 22nd Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. United States Army veteran, Mr. Charlie C. Lester, age 74, of Upper Melbourne, Maryland, died Tuesday, February 2nd, at his residence in Maryland. The funeral service for United States Army veteran Mr. Charlie C. Lester, age 74, was held Saturday, February 20th, at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. His beloved brother-in-law, the Reverend Johnny M. Sutton, officiated. The burial with military honors followed at the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church Cemetery in Byronville, Georgia. Survivors include 7 loving and devoted sisters, Mrs. Minnie F. James and her husband, Deacon Oscar James of Byronville, Georgia, Mrs. Sandra J. McKenzie and her husband, Mr. Monty McKenzie of Austell, Georgia, Mrs. Maggie P. Harris of Salisbury, North Carolina, Mrs. Ella L. Witcher and her husband, Mr. Willie Witcher of Jacksonville, Florida, Mrs. Joanne L. Sutton and her husband, the Reverend Johnny Sutton of Covington, Georgia, Mrs. Martha J. Lester Harris and her husband, Deacon Sonny Harris of Durham, North Carolina, Mrs. Frances L. Gardner and her husband, Mr. Clifford Gardner of Vienna, Georgia, 2 beloved brothers, Mr. Robert L. Lester and his wife, Mrs. Bridget Lester of Germany, and Mr. Thaddeus J. Lester of Lilly, Georgia. A beloved sister-in-law, Miss Elaine Lester, one aunt, Mrs. Annie Kate Neal of Jacksonville, Florida. A beloved friend and longtime companion, Mrs. Isoline Britley, and a dear friend and brother, Mr. Wesley Forsey. A host of many nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. United States Army veteran, Mr. Charlie C. Lester, age 74, of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, formerly of Byronville, Georgia. Again, the family of Miss Jacqueline Brown of Vienna, Georgia, the family of Mrs. Emmy Lee McAdoo Kellum of Rochelle, Georgia, the family of Mr. Jonathan D. Lawrence of Cordele, Georgia, the family of little Eric Messiah Cleveland of Cordele, Georgia, the family of Mr. Joseph Reese of Cordele, Georgia, and the family of United States Army veteran Mr. Charlie C. Lester, Byronville, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during the hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you is their prayer. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Mr. Joe Louis Mabel, age 84, of 60 Brinson Street, Americus, Georgia, died Monday, February 8th at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Miss Linda Mabel, Mrs. Jacqueline Brinso and her husband, Mr. Ryan Brinso, Miss Joanne Mabel, Miss Ellen Johnson and her husband, Mr. Oral Johnson, Mrs. Margaret Johnson and her husband, Mr. Lee Johnson, Mr. Jeff David Mabel, and Mr. Danny Mabel, all of Wilmington, Delaware. His beloved stepdaughter, Miss Deborah Clark of Americus, Georgia. A stepson, Mr. Sammy Clark, and his wife, Mrs. Janet Clark of Warner Robins, Georgia. 40 beloved grandchildren, to include a devoted grandson, Mr. Eddie Mabel Jr., and his wife, Mrs. Kizzy Mabel of Americus, Georgia. 86 great-grandchildren, 12 great-great-grandchildren, his loving and devoted sisters, Mrs. Willie Bateman and her husband, Mr. Jesse Bateman, Mrs. Georgia Johnson and her husband, Mr. Lawrence Johnson, Miss Ola Mae Lyles, Mrs. Patricia Bell and her husband, Mr. David Bell, and Mrs. Johnny Mae Lyles, all of Americus, Georgia. Mrs. Dorothy Hamilton and her husband, Mr. James Hamilton, of Warner Robins, Georgia, and Mrs. Evelyn Asbury and her husband, Mr. Jimmy Asbury, of Ellaville, Georgia. His beloved and devoted brother, Mr. Johnny Mabel Sr., and his wife, Mrs. Patricia Mabel, of Americus, Georgia. His brother-in-law, Deacon Charles Cooper Sr., of Americus, Georgia. A beloved uncle, Mr. George Banks Sr. of Americus, Georgia. A devoted friend, Miss Agnes Towns of Andersonville, Georgia. A host of nieces and nephews, to include his devoted nephew, Mr. Lafayette Banks of Americus, Georgia. His devoted niece, Mrs. Betty Foster of Americus, Georgia. A host of cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Joe Louis Mabel, age 84, of 60 Brinson Street, Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Joe Louis Mabel, age 84, will be held today, Sunday, February 21st, at 1 p.m. graveside at the Eastview Cemetery in Americus, Georgia. The Reverend George Frank Muntz Jr. will officiate. Mr. Anthony Leron Farrell, age 36, of 806 Pateville Heights Circle, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, February 17, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted mother, Ms. Brenda Farrell of Cordele, Georgia, his loving and devoted sisters, Miss Yuka Wilson of Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Cheryl Wilson of Miami, Florida, Miss Courtney Gray of Cordele, Georgia, Miss Ethel Fernandez and her husband, Mr. Roland Fernandez, and Miss Cynthia Gardner and her husband, Mr. Aswan Gardner, both of Miami, Florida. His beloved brothers, Mr. Andrew Farrell of Miami, Florida, Mr. Travis Bowles and his wife, Mrs. Michelle Bowles of Columbus, Georgia, and Mr. Anthony Gray Jr. of Miami, Florida. His beloved stepmother, Miss Sonia Wilson of Miami, Florida. His beloved uncles, Mr. Eugene Farrell and Mr. Sammy Rainey, both of Miami, Florida. Mr. Wallace Farrell of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved aunt, Mrs. Diane Bridges, and her husband, Mr. Sean Bridges of Columbus, Georgia. His beloved nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends, to include Miss Amita Mason, Mr. James Mason, Miss Katrina McVeigh, and Miss LaQuisha Paul survived Mr. Anthony Leron Farrell, age 36, of 806 Pakeville Heights Circle, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Anthony Leron Farrell, age 36, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. Mrs. Ethel Everett Telfair, age 66, of 1108 South Joe Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, February 19th at her residence in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted husband, the City of Cordele Fire Chief, Augusta Telfair Jr. of Cordele, Georgia. Her loving and devoted children, Mrs. Stephanie Hutchins and her husband, Mr. Wesley Hutchins, and Mr. Michael Telfair and his companion, Miss Crystal Grant of Cordele, Georgia. Her loving stepchildren, Miss Regina Morning, Miss Carla Johnson and her husband, Mr. Tyrone Johnson, Mr. Scott Grant and his wife, Miss Shakiva Grant, and Miss Verlene Grant, all of Warner Robins, Georgia. Mr. Rontavious Telfair of Barnard, Georgia, and Minister April Pettigrew. A host of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, her beloved siblings, Mr. Lloyd Everett, Miss Deborah Frederick, Miss Thelma Frederick, and Mr. Donald Frederick, all of Hawkinsville, Georgia. Mrs. Arizona Patterson and her husband, Mr. Henry Patterson, of Warner Robins, Georgia. Miss Peggy Thomas of Chicago, Illinois. Mr. Otha Lee Sutton Sr. of Unadilla, Georgia. Mr. Willie T. Sutton of Henderson, Georgia. Mrs. Audrey R. Smith of Tallahassee, Florida. Miss Glenda Don, Miss Faye Kynes and her husband, the Reverend Bernard Kynes, and Mrs. Maritha Smith of Stone Mountain, Georgia. A host of nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Ethel Lee Everett Telfair, age 66, of 1108 South Joe Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Ethel Everett Telfair, age 66, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Diana are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. And now for a special funeral notice outside of our community. Mrs. Ethel Hardiman, formerly of Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, February 10th in Miami, Florida. Locally, she is survived by her loving and devoted sister, Mother Ida Bell Patrick of Cordele, Georgia, and a host of other family members to include the Hardiman family of Cordele, Georgia. The funeral and burial service will be held in Miami, Florida. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, with packages available with a single pay, a 3-year pay, a 5-year pay, and a 10-year pay. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your funeral arrangements needs available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, and also whole life insurance is available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.
And now for our announcements. You're invited to worship with the New Poplar Spring Baptist Church today, with Sunday morning worship service beginning at 9:45 a.m. Wednesday evening service begins at 6:45 p.m. You may join them via conference call by calling 253-993-3761. Again, that number is 253-993-3761. Everyone has a cordial invitation to worship with the Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church, and their conference call schedule is as follows. Sunday morning worship service at 9 o'clock a.m. Tuesday midday prayer service at 12 o'clock noon. Thursday prayer meeting and Bible study is held at 6 o'clock p.m. The conference call number is 229-329-7611. Again, that number is 229-329-7611. Mother Lucille Shays is the church mother. Deacon Arthur L. Park is the chairman of deacons. Dr. K.M. Williams is the pastor. You're invited to worship with Pull Up and Praise with Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church each Sunday morning beginning at 10 o'clock a.m. They're located at 1818 U.S. Highway 41 North, Cordele, Georgia. Services begin at 10 o'clock a.m. Pastor Gregory Williams and the Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church family will be so happy for you to come pull up and praise with them each Sunday morning. You're invited to worship with the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church. Their conference call schedule is as follows. Sunday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. Prayer meeting is held at 12 o'clock noon. Each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Bible study is held at 5 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday. The conference call number is 515-604-9765. The access code is 288180. Again, the conference call number is 515-604-9765. Access code is 288180. Deacon Joe Wedges is the chairman of deacons. Dr. Dan James III is the pastor. You're invited to worship with the Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church and for their Sunday morning worship service, which begins at 10:30 a.m. via Zoom. The public call-in number is 312-626-6799. 312-626-6799. The meeting ID number is 846-9805-5243. Passcode is 50814. Bible study is held each Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. via conference call. The number is 229-234-9066. Again, that number is 229-234-9066. Deacon Johnny Wilson is the chairman of deacons. Brother Cecil Straughter is the pastor. The Cordele-Crist County chapter of the NAACP will meet this afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. at Blackshear Place. All members and anyone interested in becoming a member is asked to please be in attendance this afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. The NAACP Cordele-Crist County branch will be meeting at 4 o'clock p.m. at Blackshear Place. Dr. Ruby Jackson is the secretary, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, branch president. The Cordele-Crist Area Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance extends to you a very cordial invitation to join them in prayer each third Sunday this evening at 6 o'clock p.m. for a time of community prayer. The number to dial is 657-390-4570. Again, that number is 657-390-4570. An evening of prayer for our community this evening at 6 o'clock p.m. Pastor Johnny Dean is the host. As always, we'd like to remind you, if you have announcements that you'd like for us to share in our program, that you may send them to us via fax by calling by dialing 229-273-5111. Fax number again is 229-273-5111. You also may email them to us at jwwilliamsfh@bellsouth.net. Again, jwwilliamsfh@bellsouth.net, or you may drop them by the funeral home before 12 o'clock noon each Saturday. Thank you for sending those announcements to us. And we have one other special announcement that we would like to make at this time. We would like to say congratulations to Pastor Donnie Hall, who is celebrating his 40 years in preaching the gospel. Congratulations to him, as he will be celebrating that momentous occasion on tomorrow, which is tomorrow, February 22nd. He began preaching on February 22nd, 1981. We congratulate him as he celebrates 40 years of preaching the gospel. Our very own Reverend Donnie Ray Hall Sr., congratulations. One other special announcement that we'd like to make. We say happy birthday to Mother Leila Mae Smith, who we all affectionately know as Miss Honey, who celebrated her 101st birthday on February the 4th, I believe it is. And we say happy birthday to Miss Honey. We pray God that will continue to bless her as she celebrates this milestone, 101st birthday on February the 4th. Happy birthday. And this comes from all of us in our community, her family, all of her church family, and everyone. We say happy birthday to her. And one other special announcement that we would like to make at this time as well. You're invited to drive by, wave, honk, and cheer in the celebration of Mother Lucille Shazer's 108th birthday that will be held this afternoon, today at 12 o'clock noon on the grounds of the Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church. The lineup will begin in front of Mother's home at 510 4th Avenue West in Cordele, Georgia. Again, drive by, wave, honk, and cheer in the celebration of Mother Lucille Shazer's 108th birthday. We look forward to having a grand time today. Remember, it will begin at 12 o'clock noon on the grounds of the Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church. We say happy birthday to Mother Shazer. Pray God's blessings upon her as the community comes out to drive by, wave, honk, and cheer in the celebration of 108 years of living. That will conclude our announcements for today.
And now for dedication. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: in loving memory of Mr. Reen Davis Sr., who departed this life February of 1998 and would have celebrated his birthday February 5th. Dedication requested by his beloved sister, Ms. Mary Frances Davis. In loving memory of Mr. Arthur James Jackson, who departed this life on February 6th, 2019. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Deaconess President Cassandra Jackson, and his beloved daughters, grandchildren, and the entire Jackson family. In loving memory of Deacon Arthur James Jackson. In loving memory, Mr. Calvin Lester, better known as Pumpkin, who would have celebrated his birthday February 8th. Dedication requested by the Lester and Fudge family. In loving memory, Mr. Bobby Lee Johnson, who would have celebrated his birthday February 11th. Dedication requested by his beloved mother, Mrs. Annette Stembridge. In loving memory of Mrs. Ida Rose Oliver, who would have celebrated her birthday on February 11th. Dedication requested by the Oliver family. In loving memory of our own Mrs. Catherine James, who departed this life February of 2005. Dedication requested by the James family. In loving memory of Deacon Curtis Lucas Sr., who departed this life February 13, 2006. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mrs. Ruby Lucas, his children, and the members of the New Oak Grove Baptist Church. In loving memory, Ms. Bernice Kellogg, who would have celebrated her birthday February 13th. Dedication requested by the Kellogg family. In loving memory of Mother Willie Bright Childs, who departed this life February 14, 1992. Dedication requested by the Childs family. In loving memory, Mrs. Catherine Lamar, who departed this life February 14, 2004. Dedication requested by the Lamar family. In loving memory of Mrs. Edwina Carter, who departed this life February 14, 2018. Dedication requested by the Carter family. In loving memory, Mr. Andre Haywood, who departed this life and would have celebrated his birthday, and dedication requested by his beloved mother and his beloved grandmother, Mrs. Lenora Haywood, and the entire family. In loving memory, Mrs. Ethel Fuller, who would have celebrated her birthday February 15, dedication requested by the family. In loving memory, Mr. Robert Lee Jones, who departed this life February 16, 2000. In loving memory of the Reverend Nathaniel Jackson Sr., who departed this life February 15, 2018. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mrs. Mary E. Jackson, his beloved children, grandchildren, and the entire family. In loving memory of the Reverend Nathaniel Jackson Sr. In loving memory, Mr. Howard Jones, who departed this life February 15, 2009. And also in loving memory, Mr. Lester Jones Sr., who departed this life February 15, 1990. Dedication requested by the Jones family. In loving memory of our beloved Mrs. Willieva Talbot, who would have celebrated her birthday February 17. Dedication requested by the entire Talbot family. In loving memory of our dear beloved Miss Candace Everett, who would have celebrated her birthday February 18, dedication requested by the Everett family. In loving memory, Mrs. Lynette Tukes, who departed this life February 18, 2016, dedication requested by the Tukes family. In loving memory, Miss Rita Hinton, who would have celebrated her birthday February 20th, dedication requested by the entire family. In loving memory, Mrs. Latasha Simmons, who would have celebrated her birthday February 23rd, dedication requested by her beloved mother, Mrs. Thelma Simmons, and Mrs. Cassandra Jackson, and the entire family. In loving memory of Mr. Alvin Harris Sr., better known as Short Dog to all of us, who departed this life February 23rd, 2007. Dedication requested by Mr. Alvin Harris Jr., Ms. Yolanda Shakiva Grant, and Mrs. Jerry Pitts, and the entire family, all gone but not forgotten. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. Happy anniversary to Mr. Frederick and Mrs. Gail Hardeman, who celebrated their anniversary February 14th, Valentine's Day. happy anniversary and many more. Happy 40th anniversary to our own, the Elder J.C. and Evangelist Annette Clark, who celebrated their anniversary Friday, February 19. Dedication requested by the entire family. Happy 37th anniversary to Deacon Willis E. Coleman and Sister Ruby Coleman, who celebrated their anniversary Monday, February 22nd. Dedication requested by the entire family. Our first selection this morning goes out to the following. Happy birthday to Miss Naisha Davis, who celebrated her birthday Monday, February 1st. Happy birthday to Mr. Winfred Jones, who celebrated his birthday Wednesday, February 3rd. Happy birthday to Miss Mary Taylor, who celebrated her birthday Tuesday, February 9th. Happy birthday to Miss Chantel Jones, who celebrated her birthday Thursday, February 11th. Happy birthday to Mrs. Donna Cobb, retired educator, who celebrated her birthday Thursday, February 11th. Happy birthday to Missionary Clemmy Jones, who celebrated her birthday Thursday, February 11th. Happy birthday to Elder Linton Felton of Hinesville, Georgia, who celebrated his birthday Saturday, February 13th. Happy birthday to Latrevius Felton Quarterman, who celebrated his birthday Sunday, February 14th. Happy birthday to Miss Tricia Davis, who celebrated her birthday Monday, February 15th. Happy birthday to our own and our beloved Mother Jessie Harmon, who will celebrate her birthday Tuesday, February 23rd. And also happy birthday to her sister, Bishop Maggie Washington, who will celebrate her birthday Tuesday, February 23rd. Dedication requested by the entire family. And our special birthday dedication goes out again. Happy birthday to our beloved Mother Leela May Smith, better known to all of us as Miss Honey, church mother of the Zion Hope Baptist Church of Winona, Georgia. Happy birthday to Mother Leela May Smith, who celebrated her birthday Thursday, February 4th. And happy 108th birthday to our own Mother Lucille Denard Shazer, who celebrated her 108th birthday on Thursday, February the 18th, and we'll celebrate a special drive through and wave today at the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church beginning at 12 noon. Happy birthday to our own church mother, the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church, Mother Lucille Shazer. Our program this morning goes out to Mother Catherine White, and hope that she's feeling well this morning. Our first selection for this morning is dedicated to each and everyone who listen in and enjoy our program on each Sunday morning. It is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcements. Mr. Joe Louis Mabel, age 84, of 60 Brinson Street, Americus, Georgia, died Monday, February 8th at the Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Joe Louis Mabel, age 84, will be held today, Sunday, February 21st at 1 p.m. graveside at Eastview Cemetery in Americus, Georgia. The Reverend George Frank Montz Jr. will officiate. Mr. Anthony Leon Farrell, age 36, of 806 Pateville Heights Circle, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, February 17th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Anthony L. Farrell, age 36, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. Mrs. Ethel Everett Telfair, age 66, of 1108 South Joe Wright Drive, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, February 19th at a residence in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Ethel Everett Telfair, age 66, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Our next and final selection for this morning is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones were laid to rest during the past week. The family of Miss Jacqueline Brown of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Emmy Lee McAdoo Kellum of Rochelle, Georgia. The family of Mr. Jonathan D. Lawrence of Cordele, Georgia. The family of little Eric Messiah Cleveland of Cordele, Georgia, the family of Mr. Joseph Reese of Cordele, Georgia, the family of United States Army veteran Mr. Charlie C. Lester of Byronville, Georgia. This election is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones will be laid to rest during this week. The family of Mr. Joe Louis Mabel of Americus, Georgia. The family of Mr. Anthony Farrell of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Ethel Everett Telfair of Cordele, Georgia. This election is dedicated to all of the sick and shut-in, to all patients in the local and surrounding hospitals, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers, to our beloved ministers and their devoted family members, to all retired educators, to the men and women serving in our armed forces, both stateside and abroad, to all veterans, and to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program goes out in memory of our past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams, goes out to my wife, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, to my son, Jai Wilkerson Parker. This election goes out to my mother-in-law, Ms. Billy Ann Hall, and family, to my brother, retired Chief Master Sergeant Norman F. Dexter, and his wife, Dr. Gwendolyn Maxine Dexter, and family, Noah, Vienna, Georgia. To my sister, Miss Maddie Mae Johnson, better known as Sister Girl, and Mrs. Patsy Jackson, her husband, Mr. Jim Jackson of Cordele, Georgia. This election goes out to my nephew, Deacon Kenneth Smith, program chairman of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. Goes out to our pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, pastor of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. And again, invite you to worship this morning via conference call, Facebook Live at 9 a.m. And again, goes out to the mother of our church, Mother Lucille Shazer. Yes, Mother Lucille Shazer, age 108, and will be celebrated today with a drive by and wave at the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church today at 12 noon. And again, our program goes out to our dear friend and brother, the Reverend Donnie R. Hall Sr., who is celebrating 40 years of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, declaring the unsearchable richness of the kingdom of God for 40 years. Started preaching on February the 22nd. God bless the Reverend Donald Hall, and we say to him, stay on the wall and continue to declare the good news of the gospel, telling men and women to come in while you got a chance. Thank you, Brother Reverend Hall, for your dedication to God's word. Continue to hold up the bloodstained banner. Our program this morning goes out to Mother Idabelle Patrick and family, Mr. and Mrs. John Manning and family, Mr. Greg Peterson and family, Mrs. Mother Minnie Fletcher and family, Mr. and Mrs. Danny Jackson and family, Mr. Philip Stembridge and family, Mr. and Mrs. Norman Field and family, Miss Donna Cobb and family, Miss Annette Stembridge and family, Miss Rita Cross and family, Miss Carrie Brooks and family, Deacon Ray Rollins and family, Miss Willie Mae Crabb and family, Mr. Lonnie Williams and family, Mr. A.B. and Miss Valerie Levant and family, Mrs. Eddie Levant and family, Mrs. Dorothy Rose Jones and family, Mrs. Juanita Montford and family, Miss Patricia Turner and family, Miss Carrie Bell Levant and family, Mrs. Betty Jean Montford and family. And then goes out to my neighbor, Miss Theron Jones and family, and the entire Byram family goes out to each and every one, again, who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program this morning is dedicated to Ms. Bernice Pittman and family, Ms. Gail Chanel and family, Ms. Jerry Harvey and family, my niece, Mrs. Rosalind Johnson and family, better known as Pig, the Palmer family, the Montford family, the Armstrong family, Ms. Mary Kendrick and family, Mr. and Mrs. Ricky Hardeman and family, Ms. Mary Frances Davis and family, and goes out to our beloved Mrs. Easter May Sanders and family. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Tune in again on next Sunday morning. In your time of need, contact the competent, capable, and dependable staff at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.